What is up, everybody? Bootman here, and we are back with another Marvel Snap video. And I am a data nerd, and I love gathering like data and stats and all sorts of stuff. And there's a lot of controversial opinions out there about first turn snapping. And I must admit, I contribute to a lot of those controversial opinions. I am not a fan of first turn snapping. So last night, I did an experiment and I wanted to share the results with all of you because they are very, very interesting. And I guarantee you will walk away from this with some strategies to win a lot more games and a lot more cubes, all right? But before we get started, if you're new here, hi, my name is Chris, AKA Bootman. And if you love Marvel Snap as much as I do, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell. We are trying to hit 7,000 subscribers by the end of the month, all right? I think we can do it, we're pretty close. But if you subscribe, you're gonna get a bunch of awesome content like this. I try to create content that other people aren't creating, and I'm very into the strategy of this. I love competitive gaming. I've been in it for 2 decades now, all right? So I can't wait for battle mode to kick off and all that. So make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell because I have a lot more videos planned like this. And we have an awesome Discord community linked down below. I actually just created a Discord channel for like stats and spreadsheets and just trying out different things for all my fellow stats nerds. So if you're one of those people and you wanna contribute, you wanna test some stuff, come on, hang out, we got a cool community. And I'm also doing a season pass giveaway every single month. So follow me on Twitter at BootmanMSTZ, linked down in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, you can be part of the giveaway every single season, all right? Cool, so let's get started. All right, so I am a person who is not a fan of first turn snapping, all right? And we'll dive a bit more into that in a little bit. But like, I think more often than not, it is a bad idea, okay? So here is the reason why. When you're first turn snapping, you have very little information. I hear a lot of people, related to poker. I have, some poker experience. I used to play a lot of poker, okay? So in poker, you're dealt your cards, you get 2 cards, and there are different, pairs, sets of cards that you get that have a higher probability of winning. So what you'll do is you'll bet before any of the cards are turned over on the flop if your chances are good. Part of the strategy behind this is you wanna get people with the bad hands out so they are not going to accidentally win with something worse than yours, right? When cards start coming out. So you're basically like, yo, if you wanna play those crappy cards of yours, you gotta put some money in, all right? That ends up flushing a lot of people out. Now, Marvel Snap is much different, okay? Marvel Snap is different because we have a lot of different variables, right? So not only do we not know what cards they're playing, we don't know what locations are popping up. So on the first turn, there are still 2 locations to be uncovered, and one of my main gripes is people who snap before even seeing what kind of cards you're playing. So you don't even know if they have an entire deck filled with counters against your card, okay? So I have a lot more experiments that I wanna plan out, so let me jump into some of the methodology of how I went about this, and I would love comments from all of you. I am very interested in experiments and statistical data and everything, but I'm not an expert. And I know a lot of you are way smarter than me in this kind of stuff. So like I said, this is the very first one I'm doing, but I want input from all of you because, and I'll touch on it later in this video, there's some other experiments I wanna run and I'm not 1,000% sure how to go about them. So anyways, let's break down how we went through this one, all right? Let me just switch screens real quick. That's not the right one. All right, so let's break it down. So I had to figure out a way to like kind of minimize different variables and everything like that. So what I wanted to do was, okay, what is the best deck to first turn snap with? What is the ideal deck to first turn snap with? And by the way, part of my gripe is a lot of people out there who are not hitting infinite, who are wondering why they're not winning, it's because they're first turn snapping without the ideal scenario going on, all right? So that is something we gotta test for later, but I wanted to start this out with, okay, what card wins the most when it is drawn? When it is in your hand, what card wins the most? So since we're talking about first turn snapping, I also wanna see, when it's in your hand, right? Like I can't first turn snap if the card with the highest win percentage when drawn is not in your hand. So first I went to snap.fan, looked up card stats, and I filtered it. Pool 3 plus, okay? And then right here, when drawn. And check this out, okay? Like I'm gonna beat this into your head throughout this video. This is a pool 3 card. It is a pool 3 deck. Patriot has the highest win percentage when drawn, 60.93%. The only one that is even over 60% is Sauron. Sauron is a brand new card, and I would say, like, look at the sample size too. With Patriot, we have over 150,000 games. With Sauron, we only have 1,600. So Sauron, I wouldn't even count. So Patriot, by far, has the highest win percentage when it is drawn, okay? So for everybody out there saying, I don't have Series 4, I don't have Series 5, I'm free to play, all right, well, keep playing and get yourself Patriot, because clearly it's a pretty good card. All right, so anyways, I filtered by when drawn. So Patriot, I'm gonna make a Patriot deck, okay? So Patriot has the highest win percentage when drawn. So I went down to the meta decks here on Snap.fan. So here are like the base decks that people use, all right? Now, one of my gripes with Snap.fan, and I will say this all the time until Snap.fan listens to me, um, one of the things is, once I find a card, I cannot find the best decks with the card. So they list a bunch of decks down here. So here are meta decks, right? Then they list a bunch of decks down here. And when you go here, you can't filter it like you can with cards. I cannot filter this by the top win percentage. So that's very annoying. It makes it difficult. I like to try new decks. I like to try new good decks, right? And I can't filter by decks with the highest win percentage. So the best we have is the meta decks and then their win percentage, but this doesn't give you a full deck. This gives you way more than it. This is basically saying, okay, Patriot is the core card, right? And here's the percentage of how often these cards are in a deck with Patriot. So I picked this one, the Advanced Patriot, okay? Has a 56.76% win rate, average of 0.53 cubes per game, okay? So I picked the first 12 cards on here. I believe there are 16 cards. So I picked the first 12, and I was very nervous about this. So, all right, here are the first 12 cards. Let me switch view again. It's a lot easier for you to see it like this. So here's the deck, okay? These are the top 12 cards paired with Patriot. Patriot wins 60% of the time when he's drawn in your hand. So Squirrel Girl, Misty Knight, Shocker, Mystique, Patriot, Brood, Debris, Cyclops, Thing, Blue Marvel, Onslaught, Ultron. When I saw this, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know about this, because I am looking at this list and I'm like, man, I would love to get like Abomination in there, right? I would love to put like Mr. Sinister or Mysterio in this deck. I'm like, nope, nope, I gotta do this with the top cards in there, okay? So that is how I decided how to make this deck, all right? We're talking methodology right now, all right? So here are the conditions that I did with this deck while playing, okay? So let me pull up my notes just to make sure I don't miss anything. So what I did was I played 50 games, okay? I played 50 games. I do not think that is a large enough sample size. Ideally, like when it comes to like statistical analysis and everything like that, like you need things that are statistically like significant, okay? I want a sample size of like thousands. I want as many as possible. That's me, okay? I am a big fan of large sample sizes. It's one of the reasons I don't like polling and all sorts of stuff. I'm like, no, 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 no. We need the largest sample size possible, all right? Like if you survey 1,000 people, how are you gonna get a good idea of what America wants when the population is 330 million, right? And there's a bunch of like things out there, and I could go on a whole rant about polling, but anyways, you get what I'm saying. So I would like a bigger sample size, but I'm one person, I did 50 games. So I did 50 games, and here was the conditions, okay? If Patriot was drawn on the first starting hand, so your first 4 cards, if Patriot was in there, I first turn snapped. That's what I did. Boom, snapped, didn't care, didn't matter what the location was, what my other cards were, anything like that. When Patriot's in my hand, I am first turn snapping, all right? A couple other things. I never snapped after turn 1, all right? So if Patriot came later, if I had a solid hand, if I was going into turn 4, 5, or 6, nothing. I did not snap at any other point in the game, okay? The next thing, I did not retreat at all right? So if I had garbage, if they snapped me going into turn 5, I did not retreat, all right? And that's gonna be important as we discuss in a little bit. But again, I was trying to limit the amount of variables because then I have to create all sorts of new conditions. I believe it's important that we talk about this stuff because like experiments and how these are conducted is very important just in life in general when you hear stuff on the news and all sorts of weird stuff about like, oh, this new study says like chocolate cures cancer and stuff. It's like, okay, let's take a look at this study. It's what I do in my other content that I make in another. All right. So I was trying to limit the variables. So I never, ever, ever, ever retreated. Okay. Um, and what else? Did not retreat. I did not snap back ever either. So if they snap me, I did not snap back. Okay. So I believe that was all of the main conditions. I tried to keep it as simple as possible. All right. So I'm going to link this down below. I did, I did a nice little spreadsheet. Hold on one sec. Let me see how much you can see here. Okay, you can see a decent amount. Maybe I'll just switch to this view. Hold on. Wait, browser share. Let's do this. You guys can get a better look here. Hold on. Let's blow this up. All right, so I'm gonna link this spreadsheet down below. All of you could take a look. All of you can play around with it. You can't edit it. You can view it, all right? So if you want to, just make your own spreadsheet, okay? So what I did was, here's all the games right here. I put first turn snap, yes or no, all right? Win, win or loss, cubes, gained or lost, plus or minus, and then here's some notes, okay? I just put a bunch of notes, things like lost to Killmonger turn 6, right? So, for example, I put a note there because I think that's important, right? Because one of the reasons I have an issue with first turn snapping is you have no idea what kind of cards they have, what kind of deck they have, right? You know how many people I have first turn snap against me running Magentris and they're running a zoo deck, and I'm just sitting there with Killmonger, like I cannot wait for turn 6. So I put some notes in here. I put notes when they retreated. Um, I put notes in here like opponent snapped, then retreated like a punk, LOL. So you'll enjoy these notes, okay? Very brief. Now, one thing, just for pure transparency's sake, because when doing experiments, people need to be transparent. Scientists need to be transparent. By the way, I can give you a ton of book recommendations. If you're interested in this stuff, here, I'll give you one right now, right here. So this is Science Fictions by Stuart Ritchie. I actually had him on my podcast. This is a whole thing about bad scientific research. Whole entire thing about how scientists and researchers, they fudge data. It goes into so many different things. So if you are just interested in this subject or you're interested in doing stuff like this for Marvel Snap, read this book. It'll teach you like some of the do's and don'ts. And it's broken down in a way where you don't need to be a scientist to fully understand, right? Because one of my main goals with this is like let's moneyball this thing, right? Competitive's coming out, let's gather data. Like I said, there's a lot of debates around first turn snapping, and I'm like, well, how do we know who is right? Like, let's get data. All right, so I tracked all this stuff. Now you're wondering, well, Chris, what happened? Forgot to black it out, so I'm gonna surprise you in case you missed that. If you want to ruin the surprise, just rewind the video and pause it, whatever. But let's go through this one by one. All right. So how did this work? How did this work when I made this Patriot deck with the top 12 cards in it, first turn snapped, whenever Patriot was in there, I didn't retreat, anything like that, okay? 50 games. Now, again, I'm gonna beat this into your skull for everybody out there thinking that you need to pay to win or you need to buy these fancy cards, okay? So, total games won, okay? So I'm gonna go through like the total just overall stats and then I'll go through the first turn snap stats, all right? So, total games won out of 50, 30. 30 games won out of 50 with this deck, okay? Total cubes won, 80. 80 cubes were won with this deck, all right? Like, isn't that crazy? Out of 50 games, we won 80 cubes, all right? But here's the thing. How many did we lose? We lost 53, all right? That's the thing about Marvel Snap. So, total cubes, 27. I put a note here to remind myself. So remember, we did not retreat. One of the variables that I was controlling for, right? Like I made sure to not retreat at all. So we won 27 cubes in 50 games and I never retreated. I think that if there were so many games, there were so many games where I just wanted to retreat so bad, but I was doing this for science. I think if I retreated, like if I did my normal strategy, I would have been 40 plus cubes. That is 4 rankings, okay? If I would have retreated properly. That's what I think. Maybe I'll do this again just to prove to all of you that you can run a pool 3 deck. Like, you guys, check it out. I'm sitting around rank 117. Um, and part of it is because of this deck. Let me double check. Yeah, I'm rank 117. My collection level is 4,272. So for all of you out there who think you cannot win without like Darkhawk or Shuri or Galactus or whatever, or Thanos, right? No, that's not the case. I went up decks last night. I went up against a dude who dropped 2 Darkhawks on me and I beat him with this deck. Okay, so quit making the excuses and lying to yourself. By the way, coaching cap is on and you're getting some tough love. So quit making the excuses that you need these cards, you don't have the cards, and da-da-da-da-da, right? You can do this just fine without the expensive, fancy cards, and I think that is so important for everybody out there to know. All right, so out of these 50 games, what was our average cubes won? 0.5, all right? So there were some decimals after this, but that's actually pretty close to what this was on the report. They had 0.53 for average cube. So I think, I might have been close to that. Now, overall win rate with this deck, 60%. I was 60% with this deck, never retreating, all right? And first turn snapping whenever Patriot was drawn. What? What? You guys, make this deck, like make a deck like this, okay? And yeah, if you guys are wondering too, like I'm not gonna go through a whole thing, that could be a separate video, but a lot of these cards are replaceable. Like I said, like I had somebody say like, oh, I don't have Debris. Like Debris wasn't something winning for me, so don't like replace Debris with, Mysterio, Mr. Sinister, whatever you gotta do, all right? Like Debris was cool, but didn't do much. All right, so anyways, now what you all been waiting for. So what was it like when I first turned snapped? So total games out of 50, I only first turn snapped 12, all right? Like that's pretty bonkers, right? And let me put this over here before I forget because I gotta show you guys something. So this makes me wonder too, when I'm getting first turn snapped on, is this just kind of like am I not getting a full idea, right? Like we gotta do like counterfactual thinking. What are all the things that didn't happen? So for all the times that I get first turn snapped, how many times am I playing first turn snappers who didn't get their conditions to first turn snap? You see what I'm saying? So I only first turn snap like 20% of the time, maybe, because I wasn't pulling Patriot all that much. Now, something I'm gonna go over, and one of the reasons I brought this other tab over is because I think a lot of people are not first turn snapping in a smart way, all right? So I only first turn snapped 12 games. So out of those 12 games, I won 10. So by the way, here's when I start laughing because I'm like, am I wrong? Am I wrong about first turn snapping? I don't think I am, and I'll explain why. But I won 10 out of those 12 games. All right, first turn snapping, I won 10 out of those 12 games. So in those 12 games alone, I won 36 cubes. All right, how many cubes did I lose? 8. I lost 8. So the total cubes out of 12 games, where I first turned snapped, I gained almost 3 entire ranks, 28 cubes. All right? Like, think about that for a second. So, like, what? What? Like, Mr. I'm against first turn snapping, and I'm looking at these stats right here? Like, that's bonkers. So the average cubes for that is 2.3 cubes per game. First turn snapping when Patriot was drawn. All right. And again, too, like look, cubes lost 8. What would that have been? What would my cube total look like? What would my average cubes per game look like if I retreated? Now, to be fair of these ones, and by the way, if you're not familiar with like spreadsheets, like get used to them. So here, let's filter by this and first turn snap. So the 2 games I lost were 4 cubers. So I was already in it if we played until the end of the game, but that means that they didn't snap back since I played all the games all the way through. So there's a possibility I could have cut this in half if I retreated when I realized things weren't going my way, all right? So think about that for a minute. Okay, so Overall win rate just when first turn snapping, 83%. 83%. Like I said, I will put this spreadsheet down below. If there's any data that you guys wanna look at, maybe I'm not looking at all the things correctly. You do not have access to edit this spreadsheet, but you could just copy all the cells, put them on your own spreadsheet, whatever you wanna do. But these are the types of experiments that I wanna run. So now, to wrap this thing up, let's discuss some other factors. So one of my main arguments about first turn snapping is all of this data right here, this beautiful deck right here. I've played thousands of games, thousands and thousands of games, right? I'm not playing against people running a Patriot deck, the card with the highest win rate when drawn and their first turn snapping. No, I'm playing against people first turn snapping with the most ridiculous stuff in their hand. Let's say, for example, first turn snapping with a discard deck, right? Oh, you drew Hella. You drew Hella, so your first turn snapping. And then it's like, what, first turn you draw Blade and it discards Hella? Now your whole reason for first turn snapping just flew right out the window, right? Or District X pops up. We switch hands, we switch decks. Oh crap, I totally forgot to go. I'm sorry, I seem silly. The whole reason I went over science fictions, to be fully transparent, there was one game, I can't believe I forgot that. Hopefully you guys are still here. One game, I forgot to snap turn one. All right, I was streaming last night for the last 10 games. I forgot to snap turn one, so I snapped right at the start of turn two. I ran a vote in there. I said, should we eliminate this from the data set? People voted no. So anyways, one game out of 50, like where I snapped turn two instead of turn one, like, I don't think it would have made too much of a difference. The opponent ended up retreating turn five. Anyways, so transparent with our data, okay? So anyways, a lot of people are not first turn snapping me with the best deck. That's my issue. Like, what we need to understand is this was first turn snapping with a good deck, all right? With a consistent deck, okay? I tweeted this out yesterday. This is a perfect example. I tweeted this out. Another 8 cubes from a first turn snapper. Please, tell me what cards they put on the board that warranted a first turn snap. Even Vulture, Arrow, what cards made them so confident that that they had this in the bag before any moves took place? So think about that. Like, there's no excuses, right? Because some of you might be looking at this and say, oh, well, maybe they just didn't play the card that they were first turn snapping with. Well, if they couldn't play it, why did they first turn snap? Right? Like, why would they first turn snap? I didn't block it. I didn't put down, like, I don't have any counters. This is just a straight Surfer Domino deck. Like, there was nothing here that blocked whatever they had. So they must have put down the best cards that they had. Why did they snap on the first turn? This is my argument. This is my argument right here. This is why I scream from the hilltops about first turn snapping. Like, again, just to be brutally honest, a lot of people are out here snapping with garbage hands and garbage decks, okay? That is the reality of the situation. I get so much pushback. I have so many people saying, well, I think people are first turn snapping. No, 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 no. The amount of people that I play who snap on the first turn with nothing is too high for everybody making excuses for first turn snappers to not be some of these people who are doing it in a really, really dumb way. Like, look at this. This looks like a new archetype people have been running, like it's like part move deck, right? But not full. So like this guy didn't even like Heimdall his vulture out of there. Might not have had Heimdall in his hand, or whatever it was, right? So again, like there's a lot of like other like probabilities and things that can take into consideration. But something like, I'm gonna wrap this video up, but something I wanna discuss in the future is like, and some experiments I wanna run is why first turn snap. Like I want data that it is better to snap on first turn than it is second or third, right? Because I can't imagine people are retreating more often on turns 2 and 3, right? Because like I said, in poker, it's a lot different. You're betting before the flop comes out. In Marvel Snap, like you guys can tell me now, and maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll run like another experiment where I first turn snap regardless and see how many people retreat on the first turn. Then I'll do second turn snaps, see how many people retreat on that. Third turn snaps, maybe I'll do that. I don't know. But I do not see a solid reason for first turn snapping, like, and locking them in, because I don't think a lot of people retreat on turn one anyways, but I don't think a lot, I think you're getting the same amount and you're eliminating more randomness from the game if you wait until turn 2 or 3. All right, so anyways, that's all I got for this video. Super interesting information. Like I said, I love this stuff. I plan on doing a lot more. We just made a Discord channel for anybody else who wants to nerd out with stats and spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff. I need input from all of you, because now here's my next move. I need to find decks and conditions to run this again, okay? Because I went to snap.fan and I picked the best. I picked the best of the best. Highest win rate card when drawn. I need other decks because, like I said, people are not first turn snapping with Patriot decks running this deck. By the way, it's a good deck too. Like, I rarely ever see Onslaught in a deck like this, and yo, it was dope, okay? Like, you drop a Patriot, a Mystique, and then an Onslaught on that Patriot, like, woo, things get nasty, all right? So anyways, so I need more decks, right, with conditions. Like, I've heard a lot of people with Zabu decks saying, like, I snap first turn if I draw Zabu, right? Or I snap if I have Zabu by turn 2 or 3. Like, I wanna collect a ton of data. For all of you who are interested in this stuff, I'm gonna start farming out some of this stuff to all of you. We already have some people in the Discord doing stuff like this. Uh, who is it? Mr. Shady Boyd in Discord already doing it. He did one with a discard deck. I'm like, dang, you are brave. And he actually had like some pretty good results. So anyways, that's where I'm at with this. I want to run more experiments. If you're better with stats and data, if you see any flaws with my methodology, if you think there's better conditions, leave them in the comments. But Discord is probably best. Come in this channel, tag me, whatever. I usually see it when people tag me. So yeah, come join. Like I said, let's moneyball this thing. When competitive comes out, like, I'm gonna be doing stuff like this even more. And I hope in the future the game tracks better data and stuff like that, because I think there's some really cool stuff we could do with this information, with strategies, and all that kind of stuff. All right, so anyways, that's all I got for this video. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, ring that notification bell. All right, we're trying to hit 7,000 subscribers. And where else are you gonna find information like this? Tell me, tell me. You can't. So just subscribe, help us get to 7,000 subscribers, join our awesome Discord community, linked down in the description below. Follow me over on Twitter at BootmanMSTZ. Every season, I am doing giveaways for the season pass, but you gotta follow me on Twitter. All right, so that's all I got for this video. I might do a deck breakdown of some deck, maybe even this deck in a little bit, show you some gameplay. But yeah, stay tuned, and I will see you next time.